Go ahead, Jim.
You put me on speakerphone yesterday? Yeah. And now you're running quite an enterprise.
The Express.
These guys get along so well.
Express,
yeah. They did.
Okay.
Who's got more
A conference call, like there's 10 other people in his thing, and he's. So I'm privileged to be able to introduce to you a former member of our league, a honored alumnus, Bruce Smith, and it's from like days gone by, like it was sort of like fire wagon hockey in those days, It seemed like it was the era when like there was all kinds of nicknames, like Toe and Blackjack and in those days, and so Smitty, as we came to call him, showing our initiative and everything else, It was also Mr. Reliable that we were, that we pinned on him, right? And so Mr. Reliable, and of course, over the years gone by, now when you look up and beside his name is Mr. Reliable, well, you think of consistent performance, always there in the clutch and everything else. Well, it was because, he never left us empty without a goalie like some of the other goalies in our league. So, Mr. Reliable, Bruce, never left us hanging high and dry for the goalie, and that's great. The other recurring theme, sort of in these breakfasts, is like I'm trying to figure it out myself. What's the link, between all of these speakers? We've had among other people, we've had almost every derelict. Like we had the missing Link Gates, famous for hockey. We had Bill Butters, all-time leading penalty minutes guy in the Western in the WHA, and we've had grouchy old CFL coaches, and I'm trying to think the link. Like, why does he get these guys? Well, one of the links I think is there always seems to be like a moment, where they see the light and they convert, and from then on they're passionate Christian guys, And I'm sure I know when that happened for our guest speaker. Okay, Bruce was a good friend of John Paddock, and John was coaching the Hartford Wolfpack at the time, and they were in St. John's to play, and we're in the Maritimes to play, and their goalie can't make it. Okay, their backup goalie is hurt, and they're in trouble with flights and getting guys in. You can't get a guy in, so the guy goes. So John, who knows Bruce, calls him and says, Bruce, you got to dress, you got to be our backup. So I'm sure at that moment, okay, that there was a dramatic prayer for at least 60 minutes. And I'm sure it went something like, if you get me through this without getting on the ice, I'll be yours forever. So since that time, I think Bruce is obviously working with Donnie in the Maritimes and helping young hockey players in the junior league have some spiritual strength. So really nice to see you, Bruce, and go ahead.
Turn the mic on my ear, and remember the guy Jason Daw played, I think for the Canadians, played for Buffalo. Jason's sitting across from me in the dressing room. And so I sit down, and Jason's one of those guys where he's going to like you or not like you. Like, he's just one of those kind of guys, and he says to me, he goes, nice pads you got there, they kind of match our uniforms. And I said, yeah, they kind of do, but I said, they're not my pads, they're my daughter's. He goes, your daughter, how old's your daughter? I said, well, she's 16. He goes, how old are you? I go, I'm 40. And he's thinking to himself, oh my land, like we're dressing a 40-year-old goaltender tonight, you know, as our backup. He goes, are you nervous? And I said, no, I'm not nervous. I said, I'm going to sit on the end of the bench and watch you guys play. But I said, if Milan goes down and I've got to go in, I said, I'll be a little nervous, but you'll be nervous too. And he laughed, of course, because that would have been a scary moment. And you're right, Jimmy. It was kind of a neat thing that I could just watch and not play and embarrass myself. But
did you sign a contract, sir?
I did. I signed my first pro contract at age 40. So the league launched me into the American Hockey League, but they only exercised the option for one game. And but I did take a photocopy of my check from Madison Square Gardens or from the Rangers, and it was just a thrill for this 40-year-old, never was, to have that experience. But as Jimmy mentioned also, I spent a fair bit of time in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League now, developing chapel programs, and so I'm used to speaking to younger people than this group. But it's been a wonderful journey for me. I've done chapels in Rouyn-Noranda. I've spoken to players in Cape Breton and Halifax and Moncton and PEI and Bathurst and St. John, New Brunswick and Lewiston, Maine and Drummondville. I love going around the league, offering a chapel program to teams in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I'm passionate about it, and I really enjoy doing it. Jimmy's mentioned the experience as a 40-year-old goalie, but I had another unbelievable experience after I left